Today we're going to look at 28 women that were abducted by North Korea and one man. And they were abducted for spy training, language teaching and breeding. Before we start, as always, I would like to thank my subscribers, and this time I would like to ask to share this video as much as possible, but I will come back to that. Here is the spy school location. And here's Japantown, a place where many of the at least abducted women would be based, and I left the coordinates for anybody that would like to have a look at it themselves. Normally, when you become a spy in North Korea, you get about 4 years of training. We know that from former spies, and they learn the normal stuff: self-defense, weapon training, swimming, diving, ideology, counter-surveillance, listening devices, how to get contact with a potential source. But there is also a lot of things that is not so normal. For that you need foreign nationals. One of the things is foreign culture, how to use credit cards because they don't have credit cards in North Korea, how a local transport system works, the language, the food and money. And I'll give a few examples. In the Netherlands you have something called Vrije Oorlog or Patatje Oorlog, and in Denmark you have something called a krasser. I'll show you what it is. Vrije Oorlog is French fries with peanut butter sauce, curry ketchup, mayonnaise and onions on it. And a krasser is a hot dog without the sausage. Now, I mentioned breeding. Here we can see two of the sons of James Dresnock, a American defector. They're both in the army in North Korea. There is a third son, Toby. He is from James' second wife from Africa. It's unknown from where, and there is no picture of that. But North Korea had a breeding program because they realized that people from North Korea look very much Asian. And if you want to send spies to other countries, not all countries look Asian, so sometimes it's a good idea to have spies that do not look Asian. Now, what we know is that there's one American, 2 Dutch women, 3 French women, 3 Italian women, 1 Jordanian woman. There were 4 Lebanese women. They were returned in 1979, and one of them went back to the DPRK. There was 1 woman from Romania, 4 from Malaysia, 1 from Singapore, really a lot from South Korea, 1 from Thailand, really a lot from Japan, and 2 from Macau. Now, the reason we know this is because in 1978, 4 women from Lebanon were lured to North Korea. They were trained as a spy, and 2 of them went to Serbia, to Belgrade, to do something, and they stuck off. They went away to the Kuwait embassy, and the Kuwait embassy made sure they came back to Lebanon, and then Lebanon demanded that the other 2 were also sent back. Here's an interview from a Lebanese newspaper, and in that interview they say the camp had 28 girls, among them 3 French, 3 Italian, 2 Dutch, and all from Middle East and Western European countries. What we know is that there are 28. If we say half of it is Western, then there should be at least 6 that are unidentified. We know the French, Italian and Dutch, but it would most likely include some Danish and possibly some Germans. And the reason why Danish is because Copenhagen at that time was a North Korean spy center. Made sure that Keiko Arimoto, one of the Japanese, was kidnapped via Copenhagen. And we also know that 4 South Korean students were lured away via Copenhagen. So therefore it's likely that they would have tried to find other victims in the vicinity of Copenhagen. And this of course could also be Swedish, Norwegian. Here is Miss Choi Hoon-ji, a famous South Korean actress, kidnapped by the North Koreans in 1978. And in 86, 8 years later, she managed to escape in Vienna. And she also confirmed that she'd met French women in the Pyongyang guest house. And the way it would be done was typically a charming man would try to seduce a girl, then invite them to come to China, and from there they would continue to North Korea. And as soon as they arrived in the airport, the friend or fiancé would vanish, and then the women would end up in the guest house, where they would be trained to be spies or used for getting married with somebody else so they could breed children. Furthermore, we know that there was one woman from Singapore and 4 from Malaysia. They're still missing. Now I looked into the Dutch. Here are 2 people that disappeared in that time period, 1978 and 1976. We know from Willemijntje van der Meer that she was looking for her passport before she disappeared. And the problem is, of course, that in many countries, unless somebody reports you missing, and the police actually suspect that there might be some crime involved, it is very difficult to be missing. So when people leave, like for example in Germany, they have no duty to tell anybody that they leave, therefore they're not per definition missing. Here we have the Thai case. This woman was also taken from Macau, and here we can say Charles Jenkins here. And in the background we can see this Thai lady. She ended up being married with an American soldier, and later she was married to a German person. And then last but not least we have an American, David Snedon. He disappeared in 2004, which is quite recent, and it is reported by the South Korean intelligence service that he's married to a 37-year-old woman and has 2 children and is teaching English. Now, why has nothing been done? Well, first of all, in 1979, when this was reported in this Lebanese newspaper, there was no internet. And secondly, nobody put pressure on government, but we can change that. What can be done is that, first of all, share this video as much as possible. Write to Dutch political parties, write to French political parties, Italian political parties, write to embassies, write to the Congress. If you have a congressman, write and say, please watch this video. What are you doing to bring this American home? What are you doing to bring these Dutch people home? Share this with friends. If you look at other North Korean channels or channels on YouTube that have videos about North Korea, please ask them to post this video so more people are aware of it. If you use Reddit, share it on as many subs as possible where it is relevant, of course. If you have Facebook, share it on Facebook. It is relatively easy to write to an embassy, but for many embassies, any letter written to them is an official letter, and they will have to report it to the government. So a simple letter saying, Dear Ambassador, could you please watch this video and tell me what the Netherlands is doing to bring these people home, will actually help, because if many embassies get these kind of letters, they will report it to the government, and at some point the government will have to do something about it. Same with Congress. Dear Congresswoman, could you please watch this video and help to bring the victims home? It takes 1 minute to make an email. Please send these emails. If you have a YouTube channel, please share it. It's click a button. It takes 2 seconds. Well, I know I didn't talk much about the spy school. I'll be happy to make a video about that explains in depth what people will learn. But this video, tomorrow it's Liberation Day in the Netherlands. I think we should try to get everybody home. So thanks for watching, and please share this.